Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show, D-Friends One Shot. I am your host, D-Friend. I am joined by Jocko, my good friend. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about all types of nerd shit. We're going to talk about Marvel, DC, Star Wars, anything comic book, movie related, because that's just the type of dudes we are. Jocko, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am doing really good. And you know what? I'm doing a lot better after the release of WandaVision because WandaVision has slowly become my new obsession as a professional simp. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to get kind of what your thoughts are on WandaVision so far before we kind of get into what we think is going to happen in the last 2 or 3 episodes. What are your kind of thoughts on WandaVision so far?
For sure. I think that a lot of people, especially in the beginning, because like when it first came out, I was like looking on Twitter and saying what everybody else was thinking about it, and everybody was just saying like how boring it was and how like it's not that entertaining right now, and because it's just like a sitcom and whatever. And I think it was kind of unfair of people to do because like it is a good show, and this is obviously going to be something really big going forward in the Marvel universe. And I think that this is going to be like our next big step into what's going on. Because if you think about it, the next movie that was supposed to come out was Black Widow. Marvel is refusing to release that movie in any way, shape, or form. So this is what we got instead, and I think that this is a good alternate for what we were going to get. Um, just because it's like I said, this is going to be the next biggest thing coming for us in the Marvel universe.
I think obviously us Marvel nerds were all on board with it, but I think the general population really didn't get hooked on it until I'd say episode probably 3 or 4 is when they were
started showing more story elements.
Yeah, when we got kind of out of the hex and we got parts out of the sitcom, and Jimmy Woo helped because everybody just loves Jimmy Woo. That's just like a known thing, I guess. They should market the hell out of him. If I was Marvel, dude, I'd be marketing the hell out of him. I'd action figures, Funko Pops, spin-off TV show, you name it. I'll give it to Jimmy Woo. But so, I mean, we're in episode 7 right now. And I think there was a lot of people saying that, hey, like the last 3 episodes are going to be an hour long. And when I loaded Disney Plus at 2 a.m. Last Friday, because I'm that dude who stays up, saw 38 minutes. I was like, what the hell's going on? So now I'm thinking, okay, either A, the next episodes are going to be an hour long, or B, there's going to be a 10th episode, because people have been saying, oh, it's only going to be 9 episodes, but there's been a lot of theories that it's actually going to be 10. So what do you
It's gonna be 10 episodes long, and
I agree with that also,
because I feel like Marvel kind of shot themselves in the foot here on this one, because in the beginning of WandaVision, the episodes were extremely short, like really, 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 really short,
like 25 minutes.
Right, and then there was like a 7-minute freaking credit scene, and it wasn't even any scenes; it was just credits, and I remember when it first went up, and I watched it, I was like, that's it. And then I went on Twitter and everybody was like, a 7-minute long credit. And I was like, yeah, that's really weird.
As Marvel fans, we're so conditioned to watching all the credits because you never know what's going to pop out. And up until the last episode, there was just nothing,
Yeah, there was nothing.
I didn't even watch the credits for the last episode. It was the first credit. I didn't do that. And of course, it was the one in the credit scene.
Yeah, so did I.
Was like, thanks, Marvel.
But like I said, though, I feel like they shot themselves in the foot here, because they're like, well, wait, there's so much more that we need to get out before the season ends or before the show ends or whatever. And now they're just trying to cram what they can into long episodes, because or this was the plan all along, which honestly seems kind of like the case. I don't know. But yeah.
I do think Marvel, they're pretty good with their time management skills. I think these episodes were designed to be pretty long because we basically have a whole movie left, right? I mean, we got
basically
2 or 3 hours of WandaVision still left to watch. And that would be 6 episodes if you went on the pace that we had earlier. So I do think they're going to be longer. I do think that there's probably going to be a 10th episode because, going into episode 8, we now officially know who the villain is. We have certain plot elements really moving.
Agatha all along.
It was. I'm gonna start singing if we keep bringing it up. Now I'm trying to hit those same notes as Agatha did. It was. I'll tell you what. Before we get any further, that song deserves every award you could give it: an Emmy, a Tony, a Grammy, a Kids' Choice Award, a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, if there's an award you need to give it to Agatha Harkness for that. I mean, that was just a phenomenal performance. Um, am I sipping for the witch? Is that what we're doing now? Is that what we're doing now? Wow, I need to get my life in control.
I was
Anyway.
actually doing some digging on Agatha because I've expressed this to you before in the past, but I'm gonna say it here.
Mhm.
I'm growing more concerned for the future of Marvel, just because of the fact that a lot of these characters I don't know, and a lot of these characters I have no idea who they are. I got no clue, even like a close idea of who they are in relation to these other characters, especially Agatha Harkness. I was like, okay, who's that?
Mhm.
And they're gonna go ahead and make her the main villain of the show, and I'm like, okay. But then again, a lot of people were saying that this was Mephisto, and not Mephisto, and I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. But even you were telling me before too that you thought that this is going to be
I still
Mephisto,
think
and
he'll show up. I still think he'll show up, but I don't think he's the main
he,
guy anymore.
the only reason that he may pop in for a short cameo is because in the original comics, Wanda's two children are technically Mephisto's children.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just Wanda's, and they're not
Right.
Vision's, obviously.
Right.
So that is the only possible way that I could see him showing up. But like I've told you before, Mephisto is a Ghost Rider villain. He's a Ghost Rider character. He showed up first with Ghost Rider. At least I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure that that's the case. And it would be just downright stupid if they were going to introduce Mephisto before Ghost Rider in the MCU. And I think that's
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I totally get your point on the lesser known characters, because we're guys who obviously we've read a shit ton of comic books. You know, we know our stuff. And the fact that we had to kind of look up to some of these guys, and I get doing that to an extent. You might want to introduce new characters, or they have so many hundreds of characters they could use and whatever. And I think it's cool to bring it back. But if that's a repeated pattern, I think it's like it's gonna be really hard to reel in the normies who are like, oh, I know, because everybody knows who Thanos is. Everybody know who Ultron, Loki. You start bringing in, okay, Agatha Harkness, who's, Mephisto. Like, people are gonna be like, who are these people? I have no idea who they are. It's gonna be hard to bring in. No, I mean, of course we'll still watch it because we're simps. Well,
it kind of is it's kind of striking a nerve with me, to be honest, that they're introducing such abstract characters, yet they just bought back Daredevil, Punisher, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. The whole Fox deal went down. That happened.
Four, X-Men,
Doctor Doom is a very, very popular, for one, and B, powerful villain that is that could have really good potential in the MCU, and we still have no sign of him. And I know that we did drop. The Marvel did drop the Fantastic Four teaser image or whatever it was, which has me very excited, because I want to see Marvel's first family come back and come back in the right hands. But I just think, I don't know. And then I mean, like, we talked about this earlier. I don't know if it was this week or last week, but we were talking about how Kang is officially cast, and Kang is going to be appearing in Ant-Man for some reason.
Little weird to me.
Yeah, a really big Avengers villain is going to be in an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. If I don't think he'll be only an Ant-Man. There's no way that Ant-Man defeats Kang single-handedly. That'd just be stupid. I don't think Marvel will do that.
And I don't know.
The only reason I can think of Kang kind of making sense for the Ant-Man movie is because, as we know, Kang's a big time travel guy. Time travels a lot.
And the last time we saw Ant-Man, he was helping with the time travel the time heist and whatever.
That's like about the only connection I can really think of with Kang and Ant-Man is the time travel thing. So I guess that could be a good connection. We can explore that, but I don't know. Other than that, I don't really see.
I mean, I guess, like, if you're really trying to reach here, like, Ant-Man is kind of one of the only Avengers, like, left around that would be able to deal with this problem, because, like, obviously, like, Falcon
good
and
point.
Bucky aren't going to be able to, like, fix a quantum realm issue.
Yeah.
Which I
Doctor
get
Strange and Wanda are busy with the multiverse. Yeah.
And Vision is probably going to be dead. So I get it, right? Like I get why they're trying to do it, and uh, the Young Avengers haven't been established yet, because
Hmm.
obviously we still need to get Kate Bishop, we still need to get Shuri, Black Panther, Rip Chadwick, um,
Rest in
and we
peace.
still need to get several other big characters from the Young Avengers, Spidey, and we don't know what's going on with him anymore, and a lot of stuff going down. So I get why Kang. It makes the most sense that he's going to be in an Ant-Man movie, but it seems weird to me that they're going to be in. It was almost as weird to me as when they called it Captain America Civil War and not Avengers Civil War,
Hmm.
because that movie was basically just an Avengers
It
movie.
was Avengers 2.5. That's what it was. Avengers
Yeah,
2.5. Yeah.
pretty right, pretty much. Um,
No, I
yeah.
totally get what you're
So
saying about Kang and being a mega level villain, but if we could just kind of go back to WandaVision here for a
no,
second.
right, no, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
no, no,
just gonna say that.
no, I got you. We're on episode 7, and we have these plot elements in place. So here's kind of what we know, and then there's obviously questions that proceed. I feel like every time we get one question answered, we get two more that pop up.
Mm-hmm.
We know for the outside the hex is where I'm going to start. We know Hayward is he's a bad guy. We don't know
He's a
who he
dick.
is. He's a dick, and typically Marvel just doesn't make random people dicks. They
Mm-hmm.
have a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know he's a dick. Monica Rambeau is who is now in the hex. We know that she has become the Hero Phantom, which is cool.
Which I didn't know. She recently I just found this out that she's actually the next one of the other versions of Captain Marvel, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely something that could be introduced going forward. So outside the hex, we have, Sword. We have Monica's.
Finally,
Yeah,
we get sword confirmation.
yeah. We have Monica's aerospace engineer friends, who I'm not sure if that's the actual aerospace engineer she was talking
I
about. I
don't
don't think
think they
so.
are.
It's
They're making a
low.
pretty big deal for a random person that had maybe
Yeah.
2 seconds of screen
I
time.
thought they were gonna name drop like somebody important, and then it was just like, oh, Officer Gooden or whatever her name was, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know.
We know Jimmy Woo is Jimmy Woo. He's chilling in the Wooverse.
Mm-hmm.
But inside the hexes, I think where everything's obviously going on and it's coming to a boiling point. Um, so we have Wanda and Agatha, who are currently in Agatha's basement, and it sounds just about as creepy as it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
She's a witch. We know that there's the book there, which I actually did some research. There was a book. If you look at, we watched Doctor Strange. There's a book missing from the library where Wu works at, which is just maybe there's a connection there with Doctor Strange. It makes sense. Multiverse, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
We know obviously Monica Rambeau. We know Pietro was a figment of Agatha's powers, and I'm sure that he's still evil. I don't think that's the real Pietro.
Is he though?
See, okay, that's again what I'm saying is like we get some answers, and then it's like, oh, is this real or is this
Right,
not
because we
real?
got the Agatha all along thing, and you could see her like messing with, like, you could see like it was her who brought
Which
Pietro
I
up.
swear to God, the second time I watched the episode, I was like, there's something gray behind him. There's got to
Yeah.
be something there. And I was like, nah, I'm just seeing shit. And I'm like, oh, I got it. No. And we know Vision is kind of coming to save the day, I guess. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot. They have a lot to do, a lot to talk about, they have that surprise cameo. So going into
Yeah.
episode 8, what are kind of some of your predictions and what you think is gonna transpire in the Hex?
So I don't know, because I think we have 3 episodes left. I really do. I really truly
Yeah,
believe that we have
I
3
think so
episodes
too.
left. So with that being said, there's only so much you can do, right? Because at this point in the story, you got a couple things that need to happen. A couple of things need to happen. That is the hero's like redemption, where the hero, obviously this case being Wanda,
Yeah.
coming back and doing the right thing, or she stays a villain and she stays a villain in Multiverse of Madness. I don't think that's going to be the case. Some people do, whatever.
No.
But yeah, so we need the hero's redemption to come back. We need the final boss fight. And then I don't know exactly how that's going to go down. I'm kind of predicting that Vision's going to come back and fight Figment Pietro and to save Wanda and his 2 children.
Which is really cool because I love fight scenes with speedsters. I really do. They can
right.
be so creative with them.
And honestly, if Feige was as smart as we know him to be, he's going to throw in a Quicksilver scene in there. But here we can only hope.
Yeah.
And then so another big question that a lot of people seem to be like overlooking, at least for me. Where the hell are her two kids?
That's okay. So a lot of people have just been like, "Oh, he's just captured." But in the comic, you mentioned this earlier. In the comics, they get eaten,
Yeah, she
and
eats
and
kids.
there was a point in this, and it was played off as a joke where she's like, "Oh, I don't buy it," and then she looked in the camera. She's like, I bit a kid once actually." And at first it
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, it's just a Modern Family type joke," and then it's like, "Oh, she actually
No,
does eat
no,
kids."
she's being
Great,
serious. Okay, cool.
great. And we didn't see him, and it's like, I don't think Disney. Although the only thing is where it's like, I don't think Disney is used to killing kids. I don't think that's something they do.
Yeah,
And
but
you
see
mentioned
it.
Young Avengers; they're part of the Young Avengers, but I mean, this is kind of they're not. I guess they're not even technically real.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Are they actually real? Because we don't know what's going. We don't know what exactly is happening. Because if you think about it, Wanda expanded the hex.
Mhm.
No matter which way you do, which way you flip it, whether it was Agatha manipulating her, whatever, she expanded the hex. So she
Mhm.
did that on her own, and she made the hex go from like clear to red.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
and
even
it's been
if
seemed to be very
Agatha,
powerful
right,
too.
and yeah, it damn near destroyed that tank that they threw into it.
Hmm.
And I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of moving
I just
pieces.
don't think. I think they're alive, and the main reason is because Disney will kill your parents all day of the week. They have orphans in every movie and TV show. Killing kids though is and
Yeah,
it
but
plays
there's
into
been some really messed up
true. And the thing that
movies.
would actually make sense to that, and I'm not totally against the idea. I just don't think so. It makes sense is if they do end up getting killed or eaten or revealed to be fake, that could lead to Wanda having an absolute meltdown, and then that
Right.
could lead us into the events of Multiverse of Madness, and where I'm like, okay,
Or
that makes
or
sense.
this could be the House of M bits that they're referring to, where
Hmm.
she kills, or where Wanda starts to realize that everything that she thinks was under her control is actually under Agatha's control, and she's like, "Okay, well, if you're not going to listen to me, then I'm going to take away everything that you are trying to get back." And she takes Vision, she takes the kids, she takes everything, and
Yeah,
then Wanda has a complete, absolute meltdown.
I think that's my
And
biggest guarantee in the whole
then
show.
she tries to recreate her kids, or at least at least the kids,
Yeah.
and this is how we get mutants because due to the House of M.
I've been saying this since like episode one. I'm like, at the end of the show, she's gonna have an absolute just meltdown. She's gonna explode.
Hmm.
A
Because
couple
we've
of
seen it, actually happen quite a few times in the MCU. She does melt down, and she does
yeah, we saw it in Age of Ultron when
right where
where
Pietro
person.
died,
Hmm.
and she just lost it, and it was just a shockwave that like literally destroyed everything in its
Yeah,
path.
and I mean, let's not forget at at the tip of her iceberg of her powers, she was able to manhandle Thanos.
Right.
I mean, can
She
you
she
imagine?
almost killed him.
She would have if he didn't
Yeah.
commit suicide on all of his,
Right.
T'Chari soldiers. So
She totally would have killed him.
she's most definitely powerful enough. That's not even a question.
And there are elements of now here's the thing though, is again this is really confusing because there's so many moving pieces, and it's really getting confusing because a lot of people are theorizing on, okay, well, what if this is going to happen, what if
Mhm.
I think this is going to happen, what if this is going to happen,
I'll
whatever. And
say
it's
this
like
before you get in. I think the majority of Marvel fans could work for the FBI. Like the way they like decipher clues and take evidence.
right
Like they have, I saw
at
one
Eric
guy with
Voss.
yeah, yeah. Dude, they take like a whiteboard. They have evidence pointing here, here, here. They have information from like 50 years ago in the comic. Like, dude, like the FBI. I'm getting these guys'
Hmm.
numbers. I'm recruiting them to solve murders and shit. Like,
Right.
come on now. But yeah, you were saying.
So there's just a lot of things getting thrown around and tossed in the air and whatever, and a lot of it is really reaching. Like I got to be honest, like a lot of these things that I'm seeing on like TikTok and Twitter are really, really reaching,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, but that just doesn't make sense. Like, yes, it would be cool to see. Don't get me wrong. Like, you had mentioned a couple. You'd mentioned a couple times to me, like when we would talk about this, you had mentioned Reed Richards several times.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm not so confident with
would
that
it
anymore.
would it be cool to see him? Absolutely. Hell yes, it would. Does it make sense for him to be in this current situation at this point in time? Not really.
Nah, not really.
And the fact that yes, he is smart. right? But he doesn't deal with the magic side of the Marvel Universe, which is why I'm coming out right now and saying it. I'm shooting that theory down. Reed Richards is not going to be in WandaVision. He's just not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm less confident. My other thing
Because
was
again,
Ultron.
like
Ultron was my other one that I was
Ultron
like,
could come back, but is it most likely going to happen? Not really. And then one thing that I was saying I was really dead set on was Doctor Strange, but then you had told me like because me and you have been talking about this quote Luke level event that a lot of the execs at WandaVision are talking about. Kevin Feige himself, I think, had even said it. There's going to be a Luke level event, which is the way they put it. In which, if anybody listening doesn't know, the Luke level event we're referring to is the Luke Skywalker cameo that happened at the end of the season finale of The Mandalorian, which obviously blew everyone away, blew our fucking minds.
I peed in my pants straight up.
Yeah, it was very, very intense, and to get something like that to happen again would be super cool. The problem is who?
Yeah, because and there's a bunch of clues, and just to go really quick, it's got to be somebody internet breaking. Obviously, Luke was that. Paul Bettany's come out and said that he's never worked with this guy, so it's not an Avenger. It's not somebody.
But
that's
I'm gonna. I already shut that down for me because we don't know if he was referring to like, you know, if he was referring to Agatha or if he was referring to somebody else.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it could have been like Pietro or something.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, Marvel, there's some slick dogs over there. Tom Holland last week was like, yeah, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, they're not in the next Spider-Man, and it's like, yeah, bro, I smell cat, like, like especially him. But like I feel like all of them, they're like Kevin Feige is like, yeah, just go ahead and like lie. Like we're just not trying to reveal nothing. Like they were probably like, oh yeah, no, Thanos is not an Endgame, like straight up, not at all. But like no, they don't want to reveal nothing because they work so hard to get these big
deals and whatever.
And the other thing that is good is that it hasn't, from all accounts, the head hasn't been leaked yet. So like any like fake leak that you've seen, oh, Iron Man is coming back. No, he's not. It hasn't been leaked. And for what I've heard, they've done a really good job of keeping it under wraps and not letting anybody hear about it, which is a very difficult task to do when you have, like I said, FBI detectives all over the internet.
Right. And honestly, I want to be dead honest with you. The only thing that I care about that comes out of WandaVision is mutants. That's it. That's all I care about. I really don't care. To be honest, I don't care about anything else. I want the Fantastic Four and I want mutants back. I really don't care about the Eternals. I really don't care about a Black Widow movie as much as it is cool to see Taskmaster coming back.
It feels so insignificant. Like the Black Widow movie. Right. Now we have Endgame in WandaVision. It feels so insignificant. It's like, oh, cool. It's like a spy movie. Cool.
Yeah, I guess. But like again, like I really like I just don't care, and I want to see the mutants again. I want to see them back home where they belong. I want to see the Fantastic Four back home where they belong. I want to see them written, produced, and directed by people who know what they're doing. And I know, at least I'm really, really hoping that this is the case, that WandaVision is really going to open the door for that to be the possibility going forward in the Marvel Universe. And just the way that things are playing out, it can go either ways. It can either shoot down my hopes and dreams, or it could really like blow me away and get me really hopeful for what's going to come. And yeah, I mean, me and you had even talked about too, like the Luke level quote, the Luke level event. Gonna be might be Charles Xavier maybe, or even Magneto coming in like, hey, I'm your dad, what's up?
So people are saying, and actually before I kind of get your official prediction, some people are saying that Magneto, if he was introduced in the MCU, would be like retconned to be her grandfather, because a big part of his origin story is that he's a Holocaust survivor, and obviously he's not going to be 80 years old and her dad, right? That doesn't make really sense. So some people are saying like that, but I do see what you're saying. So who would be, if you had to predict, if you had to come out like predictions right now and bet money on it, who would you say is like your three most likely kind of cameos for the Luke Skywalker level event?
Sorry about that. The who I really think, so it's either going to, I really hope for it to be Magneto. I really do, because I was explaining this to you, and I'm going to make it short but brief for this, but mutants could exist in the MCU already. We know that Wanda and Pietro technically are both mutants, but because of the rights that Marvel had, they couldn't say the word mutant or anything that had to do with X-Men. So they just had to say like enhanced individuals, which is kind of
Experimentation
bullshit.
with the Mind Stone.
Right, exactly. But before that, I was predicting how the mutant gene could have already been inside of these characters, and because of the Mind Stone and the Infinity Stones, whatever, they could have been awoken, and that's how they got their powers. But before that, there could have been whatever. Magneto could be around, and he could be just kind of there. And a lot of like you were saying, a lot of people were saying like he's a Holocaust survivor, so how is that going to work? And that's her dad, but whatever. It could be her grandfather, but whatever. I do think that Magneto would be cool to see, just to bring that whole circle of like the family theme and motif of WandaVision to full circle. Hey, you lost your kids. I know what it's like to lose my kids too, type thing. So Magneto, I would love to see Magneto because I want to see mutants. Another big one that I could see is kind of a possibility would be like Nightmare, but that's not really a Luke level event because a lot of people don't know who he is. But Nightmare could be someone cool to see. But like other than that, honestly and realistically, I don't see someone who could come in and be like, just pop in. Like even if it was like Nick Fury, that really wouldn't like.
Doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit for one. For two, it doesn't feel that important. It doesn't feel like it would fit that Luke level event.
Yeah, what kind of speech is he gonna give Wanda to like make her get rid of the Hex? He's gonna give her a pep talk.
Right.
This is gonna end the Hex.
So I don't. It's so difficult to tell because it's so hard to see like who is it gonna be unless they're like really gonna like just plunge their hand down into the vat of Marvel content since the 1930s and just rip somebody out who is super old but very popular.
I feel like it's gonna be somebody that like normie fans would know. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I know I kind of convinced you it wasn't gonna be him, but maybe they're hyping it up too much. Maybe like Doctor Strange makes sense. First of all, he makes sense.
Right.
Is it necessarily internet breaking? No. I don't think like Luke was like nobody expected Luke, and then whoa.
Yeah.
I feel like people would be like, oh yeah, Doctor Strange. That kind of makes sense. So another one, I feel like Mephisto would make sense in that kind of thing. Like it's like, oh shock, oh my god, but like then again, it's like Mephisto is like people kind of were like, oh yeah, no, Mephisto, that makes sense. And
yeah, but then
it's not
some people are gonna look at him, and some fans are gonna look at him and be like,
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They're gonna be one, and I'm gonna get my two predictions, and I'm gonna get absolutely killed for this, and I know I am, and maybe this is just my own fan fiction. Prediction number one is Ultron. I think he's gonna be the cameo. That would be okay. It makes sense because number one, shocking. People don't expect Ultron. Number two, he makes sense because he kind of wants Vision's body. Then I don't know, and he hates Wanda
because of
and Wanda betrayed him in Age of Ultron, so he definitely wants Ultron. So
that's that. And again, going back to Age of Ultron conspiracies, we don't know where the hell Vision did. Like, we don't know what happened. We saw a flash of light behind a tree, and that was it.
Yeah, you can't tell me the guy who literally is the internet just died because he got killed. All the robots got killed. Yeah.
Right.
And people were like, "Oh, if he was smart, he would have backed himself up." Well, he does that in the comics. He backs. He does it. He goes dormant for years, and then boom, comes out, and is like, "What the hell?"
And Ultron is an extremely powerful villain. Like,
oh yeah, there's no way they use him in one movie, and there's no way.
I mean, look at how long Loki's been around. Look at how long Thanos was around, and they're just gonna kill off Ultron, and it's like
Ultron is that kind of world-ending type villain. He's not a Aldrich Killian type guy. Like, no, he's a big dude. He's a guy who sticks around. Deal. And it makes sense if he kind of post Endgame, where the world is kind of still in shambles, if he takes the opportunity to strike. It makes even more sense if he's Hayward taking control of a government facility. And we know he's got secret files, and Darcy couldn't hack into his thing. And there's a lot of things that point to Ultron being Hayward. Now, my second one is just completely mind it makes absolutely no sense. And this is totally wishful thinking. I think Ultron makes a bit of sense, and I can
Mm-hmm.
actually present Ultron without being shamed. My
Mm-hmm.
second thing, and I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna rip the bandit off. I think it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Straight up. Does it make sense? Not
No,
really.
not at all.
Would it break the internet? It would break the internet into 10 million pieces, and
Mm-hmm.
Marvel would then put it back together in the next Spider-Man movie. Again, does it make sense? The only thing I can connect it to is Wanda's, breaking the multiverse and all stuff like that. And is it wishful thinking as a Spider-Man fanboy to have that? Yes, I will cry when I see Tobey Maguire reprise his role as Spider-Man. I will cry.
I
And
mean,
if that
everyone
happens,
will, but it won't happen in WandaVision.
if that happens next week, and I don't think, like I said, I'm not putting money on this. I'm just saying it because if it happens, I want to be like, yeah, I said it on February 22nd. I said that. And,
Mm-hmm.
is that just my fanboy? Probably. But
Mm-hmm.
my real guess is Ultron.
Right.
My wishful thinking, please God, let this happen. Please, Kevin Feige, do me a solid, is Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man.
Right.
That's kind of my way I see it.
Someone that while we were just talking about, who I just thought of, that actually was I think confirmed, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Is Clea,
Ooh.
Doctor Strange's wife.
Hmm.
Because I mean, she's not been in a movie yet. Now, granted, a lot of people probably don't know who she is.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of cool to see, Clea pop up and be like, hey, you should probably not mess with the multiverse. That's probably not a good idea.
I think we do run into that issue where it's like majority of people just don't know who that is. Like if I went on the street and was like, hey, who's Clea? They'd be like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I said like, who's Spider-Man? They'd be like, oh, Spider-Man.
Now another one of me bringing up Clea that I kind of could also see as a possibility. Dormammu.
Ooh, there's one that's like, because again, Dormammu is a big villain, and he had 10 minutes of screen time in Doctor Strange.
And it wasn't even his full form.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and Doctor Strange, Strange like did like the most basic shit on him, and it was like, oh,
so another thing here is like, you have to think about this from the standpoint that we're in, right? So from right now, all we know is that it's a witch, okay? And witches mean some pretty gnarly stuff. So a witch is someone who worships several different satans. You don't know which one they worship. And one of the ones that, if we're dealing with the multiverse, she could be worshiping or trying to appease Dormammu. It doesn't have to be Mephisto, because we know Doctor Strange already confirmed the multiverse. The Ancient One said it herself. She literally said the multiverse. There was a line.
We've seen it in 2016 in Doctor Strange. Yeah,
and Doctor Strange even fights Dormammu in the dark, whatever universe or whatever the hell it was. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but
yeah.
Now, okay, yes, you could make the argument, but Doctor Strange made the deal. He can't come back to Earth. That's fine. He doesn't have to fucking come back to Earth. He could have somebody on Earth.
Yeah. Send his minions. Yeah.
He could have someone on Earth doing his stuff for him. It doesn't have to be Dormammu there. And doing some more digging again on this character, Agatha Harkness. Normally in the comics, she's a very neutral character from what I've heard. She's neutral. She doesn't really do much, and in most cases, she actually helps Wanda.
Yeah, other than like eating babies, she's pretty chill.
Yeah, but like she's actually like in most cases she actually helps Wanda. She's not actually like against her, and except the one time that she was against Wanda, I think was in House of M.
Which again is a big story that we're following, and it's at the conclusion of House of M was no more mutants. What if she's like pulls a Uno reverse card and is like, oh, here's some mutants, and then and everybody just mutinized, I guess.
Another big thing, if we're talking about this big Luke level, whatever. A big thing that could be the case, it doesn't have to necessarily be a character per se.
Ooh, I never heard this one.
So if you think about it, let's put these pieces together. Let's connect the red yarn to this. They never really said a Luke level character. They said a Luke level event. Now, an event could mean many different things. It doesn't have to be Ultron. It doesn't have to be Dormammu. It doesn't have to be Doctor Strange. It doesn't have to be Reed Richards. It doesn't have to be Magneto. This whole event, like we already theorized in the beginning of this, again, this comes down to, I want everyone to know this, and I want you to know this too, as I'm talking about this. WandaVision is about family. The whole thing is about Wanda's family.
Yeah.
The commercials are a big hint to this, because this is Wanda trying to come to terms with her life. She's really trying to grasp what mistakes she's made, and there's like that really on the nose commercial. The pick it up if you make a mistake, pick it up with Lagos.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like, okay, so Wanda is in a bad mental state, obviously. Mm-hmm. And Agatha is just using that and whatever. But this whole thing is about family. Now, again, now as I'm saying this, I'm kind of thinking that this is going to be more of the case, because this makes the most sense. Here's what I think is going to happen, and I'll let you say your prediction, and we can go on with this episode with whatever. But here's my final thing that I'm going to input about my prediction. Here's what I think is going to happen. So next episode, or the next several episodes, this is going to end with Agatha taking away Wanda's family, because Agatha has obviously been the person who's been doing this all along.
It's been Agatha all along. I've been
right.
I keep bringing that up. It's so
funny. And so because of that, we don't really know if Wanda is the one bringing back Vision, or her kids, or if it's Agatha. And if it is Agatha, she's going to probably be like, well, hey, if you're not going to listen to me, and you're not going to, keep up this world that you created, then I'm going to take away the things that you loved about this world.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where the hero redemption is going to come back in, and where it's going to be like, okay, well, she wants to have her family back, obviously, but she has a conflict of, now, do I want to keep the world that I made, or do I want to, yeah. And so I think that she's going to take away her family. She's going to lose her mind, and she's going to blow up. And instead of saying, like, she's trying to she's going to say something, she's going to do something to try to bring back her two children, and we get mutants.
That could definitely, I don't hate that idea. I really don't. Because like I said, I've been saying this for a while. I think Wanda at the end of the episode or at the end of the series, for one reason or another, just meltdown, absolute meltdown. Mm-hmm. And it completely makes sense, especially when you consider the context of where Marvel is at rights-wise, with them getting X-Men and all that, to just mm-hmm. her having explode, and then they could be, oh, they had the X gene, but this is what activated their X-Men powers, and this is why we haven't seen, Magneto, and this is why we haven't seen Beast or Storm or any of the X-Men or Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. That makes complete sense. And I do want to add something to what you said about Agatha taking away her family. I'm just going to say this straight up. I don't think Wicket, Speed, and Vision survive this. I think one of them, it's going to be Vision. I think that dies. Mm-hmm. I don't think Vision makes it out of this alive.
I mean, the Vision dies. I think he died in the comic books a long time ago, and he's been dead in the comic books for a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's for a long time now, and yeah, so
I don't think he survives, but I don't, like, there's no way all three of them survive and they just walk out of there a happy family. One of them dies, if not two of them, if not all three of them, and then Wanda will explode, just absolutely explode.
Now, one thing that I just thought about too, one thing that Hayward keeps bringing up quite a lot, actually, he keeps bringing this up, and it's getting kind of weird at this point. Mm-hmm. Why the hell does he keep bringing up a nuke?
Because, okay, here's this. I actually know the answer to this. So if you remember in Age of Ultron, there was that scene where they were talking about how Ultron is like taking control of the internet, and they're like basically like, why hasn't he like launched all the nukes? And it was because Jarvis was like re-scrambling the nuclear code so Ultron couldn't get attached to the nukes. What if, since Jarvis is now Vision and Vision is now dead, Ultron has access to all of the nukes and could just fire nukes whenever he wants? But being that he's suppressing himself as a human, he doesn't want to do that until it seems necessary, because he's creating this facade of him being a government official. So he not only has access to the nukes, but he has the code, so he can just kind of override it whenever. We also saw when they sent the drone into the hex, he started firing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was him control. I don't know. I think this Ultron thing makes a lot of sense if we're being straight up.
That could work. Or it could be this little thing called foreshadowing, where
I think those can both be true.
Hayward is trying to nuke Wanda, but in actuality, Wanda is the nuke that's going to go off in Westview.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely a nuke. She's a walking nuke, obviously. I think both can be true too. If we're being completely honest, I think both can be true.
The Ultron theory. It could work, yes. It would be cool to see again, just like the Magneto, just like whatever. But at this point, I'm starting to fall back on the theory, like the safe theory of, okay, this is what I think is going to happen, and I've already explained it, whatever. But
I think, dude, these people on the internet, they got our hopes way too high. I was convinced the Fantastic Four are going to join WandaVision, and then it's and it's not WandaVision's fault, but it kind of let us down a little bit. And I'm not trying to get too high. I'm just trying to point out the clues I've seen and be okay, here's the dots, they connect somewhere. The aerospace thing was the most disappointing thing so far, but I don't think that's the aerospace engineer. I really don't. There's no way.
No, there's no way, because they hyped that character up for so long, and if it's just going to be this one character that was on the screen for maybe 30 seconds, I don't think that's going to be the case.
That's a major middle finger from Kevin Feige to all of us, and he doesn't usually do that though. He doesn't do that, so I don't think that that's who it is. But before we kind of wrap this up, we've gotten a good amount of our stuff. Obviously, a new episode comes out in just a couple of days. We'll be able to watch it. But before we wrap up, do you have any other predictions for either the 8th episode or the end of the series, or anything that you want to say now, so that way when you're right, we can look back on February 22nd, the day of this recording, and you can be like, I called it. I'm smarter than everybody.
I'm calling it right now. This is House of M. This is the I'm gonna rephrase this. This is the reverse House of M. Everyone listening, Marvel execs, hire me. This is reverse House of M. This is going to be not the death of the mutants, but the rebirth of the mutants. She's going to bring back her lost family, who majority are mutants. She's going to try to bring back Pietro. She's going to try to bring back her 2 kids, and in this process, she's going to do something that snaps everything in the Marvel Universe's reality to bring us mutants in the MCU.
Mm-hmm. My kind of hot take, and I don't know how hot it is, the multiverse is connected to this. We're gonna see the multiverse. The introduction of the multiverse is, at least in the image of it, is gonna be in the WandaVision. I do think Doctor Strange is in this show. I do think so. He turns up at some point, more so as I don't know. I think he's more of a cameo. He's not a cameo. I think he's more so that Doctor Strange.
He might be one of those end credit scenes that just kind of leaves us on the hook. Yeah, he's just gonna pop in and be like, "Hey, you messed up. We need to fix this,"
or something like that. Yeah,
right.
I do think Ultron is a bigger part of he's bigger than what we know. And I pretty much agree with you. This is reverse House of M. Wanda is going to go ballistic. Mutants are going to be connected to this. Dude, we have so many things on the table. We have mutants. We have multiverse. We've got, Ultron potentially. We have so many things on the table. So let me know what you guys think. You go ahead.
Do we have time to even talk about mutants really quick, or do we not have any time?
Dude, we have all the time in the world. Reality can be whatever I want it to be.
Okay, bet. So,
reference?
For everyone, before we close off, I want to get my theory of the mutants out right now. So I was actually talking to my boy D Friend over here a couple days ago about, it might have been the other day or whatever. We were talking about how mutants are gonna come in and how they could possibly come into the MCU and whatever. Here's what I think, right? So, like I said before, Wanda, Pietro, obviously they're mutants. They're mutants. Marvel couldn't admit it at the time because of the rights and whatever.
Technicalities. Yeah.
Right. But there was a reason why they wrote it as, oh, these are the only two that survived Strucker's experiments or whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why. And it's not because they're strong, it's because they're mutants.
Yeah.
The Mind Stone did something to them both that awoken the X gene in them. Now, let's take this back. Let's take this back a minute, right?
Yeah.
We first saw one of the first Infinity Stones, if not the first Infinity Stone in the timeline, at least, in Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, when does Captain America take place, D-Fran?
The 40s. World War II.
More specifically, World War II. Right.
Yeah.
Who does Red Skull work for?
Hydra.
More broadly, who does he work for?
The Nazis.
Right. And what did the Nazis do to all Jewish people?
They kill them in the Holocaust. Magneto reference.
Right. So, what exactly did Red Skull try to get the cube for in the first place? Oh, right. He tried to get it for Hitler. So he started making all these weapons, right? And he starts shipping them out to different areas of the world. And what are these weapons powered by? Oh yeah,
the Tesseract.
Infinity Stone.
Mm-hmm.
What if? Now this could be reaching, but I really don't think it is.
Dude, everything's reaching with Marvel, bro. Everything's reaching.
What if there was just a kid that somehow got affected by these experiments?
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
And woke up one day to the traumatic experience of his family getting taken away from him. Mm-hmm. And he started to bend the metal of the gates and found out that he could control metal. Fast forward a couple years back, I should say. What if there was a kid that just somehow could pop bones out of his hands? And
I'm liking where this is going. I'll even add to this theory. We want to say that Magneto got his powers from the Tesseract in Auschwitz, Germany, and during the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
What was a major event that happened? The snap that Iron Man had that sent shockwaves through the whole world. I mean, those were all 6 Infinity Stones in play. You can't tell me that Wanda got her powers from the Mind Stone.
Mm-hmm.
From this, Magneto got his powers from the Tesseract. Okay, well, Quicksilver, obviously this version, we'll get into Quicksilver, is a whole other thing. But let's not pretend there wasn't a crap ton of, energy from the Infinity Stones when Tony Stark snapped.
Rocket even said it in Endgame. Like, dude, when he did that, it sent a burst of energy through the whole universe, not just Earth.
Yeah, so if those are 2 instances with Wanda and Magneto, I wonder how that could affect the rest of the X gene positive individuals out there.
Now,
and that perfectly explained why the X-Men haven't been a big part of it, because they could say, oh, they got their powers from Tony Stark's snap. Hence why most of them have been dormant for many years.
Right. Why most of them, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there could be a dude chilling in Germany somewhere who could control metal. Mm-hmm. And there could be a guy running around who was a war vet with Cap who could pop bones out of his freaking knuckles. Or
Chris Evans returning.
Further than that, let's say that the government found out that this so-called individual could pop bones out of his hands, and he's been in hiding and, quote, under experiment since the 80s or something.
Does that parallel another Marvel character we've seen so far?
Oh, does that sound like Weapon X? Oh, yeah.
I was even going to say maybe the Winter Soldier is another guy who was found.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy who also had metal implanted onto his body to enhance his person. Huh.
Maybe have we seen this
really
before?
Weird. Really weird.
Can't imagine that story ever being used by Marvel.
Really weird.
Aren't there rumors that Chris Evans is going to come back for a Captain America TV show about his life after when he returned Who else is a war veteran? Oh, that's right. Wolverine's a war veteran.
So obviously,
Marvel, we're onto
see,
you. We're
yeah,
onto you, Marvel.
we
Come
see
on,
where we're going here.
come
And
on, Marvel. We
honestly,
got it.
I really don't think this is that big of a reach, man.
It's not. It makes sense. Every question mark that we have. Why have the mutants not been there? Where does Magneto get his powers, or that mutants get their powers from? It's all with this theory. It's connects all the dots. There's no big
and
loopholes.
and not only that, but somehow, what if Charles has had his powers for a long time now, and he's gathered who, he's thought he could help, and he's trying to create a quote home for the
Was
students or
there
whatever.
storyline? Was there ever a storyline where the X-Men just stayed quiet for many years because society would hate them? I wonder if that was ever a thing.
Yeah, not only their entire run in the comics. Oh yeah.
Wow, Kevin Feige, we're on to you, dude.
So on top of that, like, what if Charles, because of the snap, he now has a bunch of kids who don't know how to control their powers all over the world, who don't know how to use what happened to them. He sees it as a gift and he says, hey, come to my school in New York. I can help you get through this. Guy, like, I don't think, like, I think we're being very clear here. This could be the beginning of the mutants in the Marvel. I really genuinely think that WandaVision, because again, they didn't say Luke level character. They said a Luke level event.
Well, it could be both. It could be a Luke level character and event. I mean, shit.
It could be, but I really do think that this is reverse House of M, and this is really going to tell us how the mutants are coming into the MCU. Now, does that mean that because of this, every mutant on planet Earth got their powers in 2020 of whatever? No, I don't think that's the case.
But there have been so many uses of the Infinity Stones up until this
so many
uses.
Say,
oh, this Magneto got it from when Red Skull had it. You could.
I mean, for God's sake, Captain America dropped the thing into the ocean. He dropped all of, and not only that,
that's one of the Infinity Stones.
Hydra used the Infinity Stone to create weapons that he then shipped all over Europe. Who knows what those things touched and were experimented with and affected, and who knows?
Let's not forget that Hydra also had the Mind Stone, and we know obviously they experimented on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but who else could they have experimented on?
Not only that, but there's also the Winter Soldier program. There's also freaking Extremis that was a big, that a lot of people don't really seem to talk about, but it's still there. Extremis was a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people do overlook. Extremis was there. AIM is confirmed to be in the MCU in Iron Man 3. AIM is around. AIM is there.
Yep. Sword. We don't know how. Sword's pretty sus. I'm not sold on Sword being all good. I mean, they could be using weird stuff. Well, that's kind of a little different. Well, yeah. But, I mean, the Infinity Stones, they're pretty powerful. In case you haven't seen any of the Marvel movies, they're pretty powerful.
Right.
And they've been shown to already in this universe create multiple superpowered individuals. There's no reason why it couldn't do that. And the Mind Stone being with Wanda makes sense. She can control minds. She can control stuff. What if we have a guy like, Mystique or Nightcrawler or any of those guys who get a certain Infinity Stone attached to them, and that's why the reason the Space Stone makes a lot of sense for Nightcrawler. He can teleport, right? I think the Power Stone makes sense for guys like Cyclops and all that. There's just so much they can do here. The X-Men are definitely in some way connected to the Infinity Stones. There's almost no way they don't use the Infinity Stones. So that's what I'll say for that. That I completely agree with you on that X-Men theory, and it makes a lot of sense the more you think about it.
And especially because every single time one of the execs comes out, or one of the cast of WandaVision comes out, they really, really, really seem to be talking about House of M quite a lot. If I'm being honest, they keep bringing out House of M a lot. That's not a coincidence. And House of M, the biggest thing to take away from House of M, there's two things to take away from House of M. Wanda loses her effing mind, and two, she takes away all the mutants. But
Yep.
in this case, there are no mutants to take away. So what is she going to do? She's going to add mutants to the equation.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I really, if I'm being honest, my prediction is this. Wanda is going to create mutants. Agatha is going to either eat her kids or just take them away. She's going to take away Vision. She's going to take away Pietro, her whole family that she loved.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like her whole life, basically.
Yeah. She doesn't
She's
have
going
family
to
anymore.
lose her mind.
Mhm.
She's going to lose her mind. She's going to snap, and she's going to try to get all of her people, all of her family back. And she's going to create mutants in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
No, and I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. We've been recording for just about an hour. That was a great episode. I think the last 20 minutes, especially, we were just going off. We were on a roll.
Right.
Kevin Feige, we are on to you, my guy. Try harder next
Please hire
time.
us.
Yes, please. I'm so sorry for all the things I said. I'm ready to come work for you, please. But yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up. WandaVision comes out in a couple days. We'll have a post episode breakdown of it. Hopefully, it'll strengthen our theories. Hopefully, we get an Ultron reference. Hopefully, Tobey Maguire pops up in Agatha's basement. Would be pretty cool. That's probably not gonna happen. But yeah,
how about this? How about we say fingers crossed for mutants to come into the MCU finally?
Fingers crossed, mutants come next MCU. Please, 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 please.
I want to see Logan freaking taking dudes' heads off.
Oh my gosh. And then Deadpool is already confirmed MCU. Oh my!
I want to. You know what I want to see? You know we got to see. We've gotten to see Iron Man and Spider-Man on the same screen together. You know what I want to see now? I want to see Wolverine and Captain America fighting the Nazis back in World War II.
Yes.
With a Bucky by his side in his classic costume with a face mask, and
yes, everything you're saying, Jacoby, right on. Absolutely right on. But we'll catch you guys later. We'll probably get an episode out Friday. We'll try to get the other episode out. If you guys have any thoughts, opinions, theories,
tweet at us. At Jocko, at Dfriend.
Yep, tweet at us. Comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube, and I will catch you guys later. And just remember, above everything else, it was Agatha all along.